U.S. President Donald Trump's first day back at the White House met with both enthusiasm and wariness from world leaders. Concerns over tariffs and trade have been top of mind. But as day one came to an end, it brought China some unexpected breathing room. Mr. Trump avoided committing to a plan for Chinese tariffs and promised meetings and calls with his Chinese counterpart. Mr. Trump's seemingly soft start keeping ties in check, with Beijing saying it wants to push for healthy relations over the next 4 years. Similar sentiments as well from other leaders in the region. Taiwan President William Lai offering his best wishes to Mr. Trump, calling the U.S. a strong ally that shares the values of democracy and freedom. Japan touting Tokyo's, quote, enduring ties with Washington and highlighted their joint goal of freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific. South Korea's acting president Choi Sung-mok expressing hopes for reciprocal ties to the Trump administration while making a play on his Make America Great Again slogan. While Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also hoping for another term of close relations with Washington, calling Mr. Trump his dear friend. And we return to China's reaction to Mr. Trump's second term in office. We're joined by CNA's Si Hui reporting live from Beijing. Si Hui, what else has China said about the new Trump administration?
Well, we're seeing the latest comments coming from Chinese Vice Premier Ding Xuexiang. He is at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Now, among many things, he is the first senior leader in China to make comments about China's economic prospects as well as its foreign policy priorities following Trump's inauguration. And among many things, he has talked about how protectionism goes nowhere. And this really comes as he's advocating for the global community to uphold multilateralism. And this comes as Trump had previously pledged to slap tariffs on China, on all of Chinese goods, but he did not mention tariffs this time on China during his latest inauguration speech. But overall, the sentiment by China has been relatively muted. Even so, Chinese Foreign Affairs Ministry, they say they hope to see more stable and healthy relationship between U.S. and China.
中方愿意按照相互尊重、和平共处、合作共赢的原则，同美方加强对话沟通，妥善管控分歧，拓展互利合作。希望美方同中方相向而行，共同推动中美经贸关系稳定、健康、可持续发展。
Overall, observers say China is looking to keep their cards close to their chest and they aren't going to provoke Trump unnecessarily.
All right, so of course, China has an experience of Mr. Trump before in his first time when he was in the White House. But of course, Mr. Trump himself has changed, as has the team around him. Do you see China adopting a similar playbook when it comes to dealing with Mr. Trump in this, his second term?
Yeah, so it remains to be seen because a lot of things has changed since his first time becoming president for America. Because in the time that he's been away, China and Russia has gotten a lot closer, for example. So just hours after Trump's inauguration, we saw Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. They had a video call. We saw Putin saying relations from both sides are based on shared interests and not depending on internal political affairs, and as well as the international environment. Observers are saying that they are trying to do this to reaffirm relationship because of the international context that is set to change with Trump 2.0, and they're seeing this shift in geopolitical tectonic plates. And as you mentioned earlier, his team has completely changed. So, for example, Marco Rubio, he has been appointed as the Secretary of State. I spoke to some observers. They say that in the next 4 years, there is a potential, lots of potential for volatility.
While Rubio is Secretary of State, and that's an important role, the Secretary of State does not by himself call the shots on foreign policy or all external policy. There are other stakeholders here. There's the Defense Department, there's the Commerce Department, and also the other kinds of advisors that Trump has brought on board, people like Elon Musk. Now, they all have very, very different views on foreign policy and very different views on the PRC and how the relationship with the U.S. should go. So that suggests that there will be some debate, potentially even infighting.
Well, at the same time, Mr. Rubio is not an unknown entity to China. He has been a prominent figure. He has raised many China-related issues in the U.S. Senate. But the Chinese Foreign Affairs Ministry, they have responded to the fact that Mr. Rubio has become a Secretary of State. They say that both sides, officials from both sides, need to maintain contact in an appropriate manner.
Thanks to that. CNA's Si Hui there speaking to us live from Beijing.